Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. It is going to be live on Arena for another 4 days now. Our rare, unfortunately, is pretty bad. Dire Strain Rampage, definitely a constructed card, just blows up an artifact, enchantment, or land, and gives the controller of that permanent a land out of their deck. Way too narrow for limited, not the kind of thing you need here. I do like this Gavany Dawnguard, pretty solid uncommon. We drafted it yesterday but didn't end up playing white, so I didn't get to show off how good it is. But if you can flip between day and night, you're potentially drawing some cards out of your deck, specifically creatures with mana value 3 or less. So that's a pretty nice card. Again, that day-night mechanic. If you cast no spells in your turn, you'll flip to night, and if you cast 2 spells in your own turn, you'll flip back to day. So Gavany Dawnguard seems like a solid pickup to me. Mysterious Tome is fun, but it usually plays way too slow for me. Then Arcane Infusion is way too narrow of an uncommon. For good commons, we do have Moonrager Slash probably being the best one. Nice burn spell. Not too much else there, a decent little Disturb card and some other nonsense at common. But yeah, we'll start with a Gavany Dawnguard here, see where it takes us. So we head into pack 2. Some more okay uncommons, nothing really exciting here, and definitely nothing to follow up the Gavany Dawnguard with, another very narrow sideboard kind of card in white. It's just not playable. So what is the best card in this pack regardless of color? Probably Grizzly Ghoul, but that is a multicolored card. It'd be impossible to play Grizzly Ghoul and Gavany Dawnguard in the same deck. Corpse Cobble is fine for the blue-black decks because you can sacrifice all your decayed zombies to turn them into a permanent big menace zombie, but again, it's a gold card, ties us to 2 colors, and is not a card we get to run alongside our first pick at all, ever. Other than that, there's Defenestrate, solid removal spell in black, destroys anything but a flyer. Neomage Rush is an okay little spell, Occultist is like fine. Not a super great pack here, I think I agree with Arena, I just take a Defenestrate. Alright, pick 3 now. We see a really good black card. The Ecstatic Awakener is one of the best black commons. It might be the best one. This is just really, really good. If you can sacrifice any sacrificial fodder like decayed zombies, you get to flip this into a big old 4/4 and draw a card off of it, so it just plays incredibly well. Hound Tamer is also quite powerful. It's probably individually a little stronger than Ecstatic Awakener. Problem is, we do already have one decent black card with Defenestrate, so if we take Ecstatic Awakener, we got 2 really solid black cards and a very good white card, versus taking Hound Tamer, we now just have 1 solid card in each color. Hound Tamer is quite an expensive mana sink, but it's a very powerful one. It's definitely Hound Tamer or Ecstatic Awakener here. I'm going to take Ecstatic Awakener. I don't think it would be that wrong to take Hound Tamer, though. Just feeling like Ecstatic Awakener here. We've got a Morning Patrol, which is okay for this kind of deck. Black-white tends to be like an Aristocrat-style deck that's about sacrificing stuff and then disturbing them back. So Disturb cards obviously do synergize well with Ecstatic Awakener, so Morning Patrol's solid here. We have Sun Gold Barrage, a narrow removal spell, and Flare of Faith, just an okay combat trick. So yeah, Morning Patrol's one of the better cards in this pack. Again, not the most wild pack ever. Scoop up a Morning Patrol. Pick 5 now. I actually do quite like Dawnheart Mentor. We used that card to great effect in our last deck. 3 mana for a 0/4 and a 1/1. That's 1 power and 5 toughness as stats for 3 mana. And with that Coven ability, you can give Trample at instant speed if you have 3 different powers among creatures you control. That being said, we're pretty much definitely white, and Morning Patrol is still pretty good. I don't think it's as good as Dawnheart Mentor, but it's in a color we're already drafting. I don't think Dawnheart Mentor is good enough to kind of buck the trend here and push me off of the rails of where I'm going currently in this draft. It's a pretty easy Eaten Alive, although Cathar Commando is also pretty okay, being able to flash this in. This is like a 2 mana 3/1 with a bunch of extra text. And a 2 mana 3/1's already okay if you're really aggressive. They really juice this one up. Instant speed, it can blow up artifacts and enchantments if you run up against them. But we're going Eaten Alive. Gavany Trapper's alright. Nice, annoying card. It can work offensively or defensively, tapping down whatever you need. So Gavany Trapper, pretty nice pickup here. Pretty big fan. Now we have a Novice Occultist, which is pretty good in the color pair. Turn 1 Ecstatic Awakener, turn 2 Novice Occultist, turn 3 sacrifice the Occultist, draw 2 cards, and have a 4/4 Ecstatic Awakener beating down. That's the Dream Curve with that Occultist. Overall, it's just fine, but with cards like Ecstatic Awakener and other sacrifice outlets, it can be quite good, and Black-White is, I think, the most sacrifice-heavy color pair. We can rare draft our rare now, I guess. Or we could take this Homestead Courage if we want to get really real aggro. 2+1/+1 counters off this one card. You get Vigilance. Or I guess No Way Out is a lot more playable than most Mind Rots, because you do get a Decayed Zombie while you're making your opponent discard cards. So again, another thing that's probably pretty good in the color pair. Definitely good with Eaten Alive and Ecstatic Awakener. Those are two very good uses for that Decayed Zombie token. So I don't know, I'll play a Mind Rot. Generally pretty opposed to Mind Rots. Mind Rot, if you don't know, is the classic just sorcery, 2 and a black, target player discards 2 cards. That is the original Mind Rot. And they make a variation of it in almost every limited set. Tend to not be a big fan of them, because they're a little too coin flippy for me, where, yes, they are really good when your opponent has like 3 cards in hand, and you're late in the game, but they are completely just unplayable if you top deck them when you're in like a drawn out game where both of you have a large board state and you're just waiting to see who draws something better. It can put you way down when you top deck a Mind Rot in a situation like that, because you've just drawn stone cold nothingness. These are both really filler 3-drops, just because of the low toughness, just 3/2 stats, and not a good enough ability to really justify the stats. I don't know which is better, they're both kind of whatever. We'll go with the Ritual Guardian, I guess. Blade Brand's always okay, I'll scoop that up. Not a big fan of Sun Gold Barrage, since it is pretty narrow removal, and black has a lot of good removal in this format, so we shouldn't need to run something that narrow. We can take a Rotting Reunion. It is not a guarantee that we play it, because it's not the greatest card ever. It's a pretty narrow one again. But when you have a lot of ways to really sacrifice a lot of things, getting 2 Decayed Zombies off of 1 card is sometimes not terrible. Pretty luckily for us, we open up a really sweet on-color rare in Pack 2. We have Jisa, Glorious Resurrector, the 4/4, and if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead, and at the beginning of your upkeep, put all exiled creature cards exiled with Jisa onto the battlefield under your control and give them Decayed. So every time a creature an opponent controlled dies, it's going to eventually come to your side of the board as a Decayed zombie version. Very, very powerful card. Easily going to scoop her up. If she weren't in the pack, this would be a really easy Diregraph horde. Another one of the best commons in the set. Super, super sweet card here. Just producing a lot of Decayed zombies. A lot of power for only 5 mana, and nullifying some flashback cards or disturb cards with that ability to exile from grave. What do we have here? We have Lunarch Veteran, which is definitely very good in the color pair. Another very expendable creature to sacrifice to the Ecstatic Awakener. Ghoulish Procession is fun. I've had this pop off a couple times, but it also does feel like every now and then you'll play this and it just feels like you spent your whole turn 2 doing something that just never affected the board state, because those zombies can never block, because they can only attack. But this is the color pair for Ghoulish Procession to be good. Just don't feel like we have enough sacrifice yet for it. We have Eaten Alive and Ecstatic Awakener, that's it right now. Whereas I know Lunarch Veteran is just always good, it's just consistent, you don't have to do anything else, you just play this card and it'll be good. Whereas Ghoulish Procession, you need to work for it. Ghoulish Procession is cooler. I'm gonna go with Ghoulish Procession. It's cooler. It's just more interesting. But yeah, the Lunarch Veteran is a very good card, and definitely a high pick. So we have Evolving Wilds now, or Vengeful Strangler. 2 mana 2/1, can't block. When it dies, attach it to an opposing creature. And your opponent's going to be forced to sacrifice a non-land permanent every turn, so basically when it comes back, you just slap this onto whatever you want to kill. That seems fine. I don't remember the card super well, so I don't think it was like a premium uncommon or anything, but seems okay. Another Ecstatic Awakener. I do remember this card well. Always phenomenal, and definitely going in the deck. Over the Candle Trap there. Not a fan of Candle Trap as removal as well, especially in Black-White. Again, we're going to have defenestrate, eaten alive style removal that is not situational at all. There's enough removal in this format basically that isn't situational that it makes the situational removal spells really bad, like Sun Gold Barrage where it only kills power 4 or greater, and Candle Trap where it only makes it so it's a defender, and then you can't exile the creature unless you have Coven or 3 different powers on the board. Okay, we can take a Lunarch Veteran now. Another 1-drop. Get this out real early and sack it to our 2 Ecstatic Awakeners without even losing a creature, because we can just get this right back on the board for only 2 mana as a flyer. So that is a sweet card. No Way Out is fine, Arrogant Outlaw is fine, but Lunarch Veteran I think will be there. Even Crawl from the Cellar actually has been kind of okay. But that's really for blue-black is where you can really use that all the time, because even a lot of your blue creatures will be zombies to get the +1/+1 counters. Take a Vampire Interloper for getting aggressive. There's nothing else on color. Don't know if I'll play it, but we'll find out. It's another option. Ooh, excellent pickup. Pick 7, Olivia's Midnight Ambush. Instant speed removal. -2/-2, or -13/-13 during the night. Very nice. That instant speed there. Liking how this deck looks. Black-white sacrifice stuff. Honestly, it just looks like black-white good stuff for the most part, but we do have 2 Ecstatic Awakeners and 1 Eaten Alive. We have another No Way Out. Bat Whisper is fine. Clarion Cathars is fine. How's our actual 2-mana creatures looking? Actually don't have a lot of 2-mana creatures right now. I could go for a Candlegrove Witch. 2-mana 2/2 if you're attacking with 3 creatures with different power, or if you just have 3 creatures with different power on the board, it will attack as a flyer. Bat Whisper or the Hedge Witch's Mask. I think we have a lot of non-creature cards right now. We're not really going to make room for some random equipment over just playing a bunch of removal spells. So I'll just take the 4-mana creature. We can take the Crawl from the Cellar now. We have 4 3-mana creatures already. We don't need another filler one like Celestia's Sanctifier. So I'll take Crawl from the Cellar as another option in our non-creature slot. Now we have Blade Brand or Homestead Courage, both of which probably won't get played. I guess I already have 1 Blade Brand, so let's pick up 1 Homestead Courage to again just expand the options that we have in the uncommon, or in the non-creature slot. So last pack, we're really just looking to fill out our creature curve with some better early game stuff. We have 14 creatures, we just need 3 good creatures. Opened up Tovalar's Huntmaster again. Both drafts we've opened it up. This time it's in pack 3 though, so we're very committed and can't pivot into playing it. But if this is your pack 2 rare, I would try pretty hard to drop one of your colors and just play it, because it's one of the strongest cards in the entire format. And that's what we did last draft, worked pretty well for us. Here we'll just take Siege Zombie. This seems pretty perfect. 2-drop aggressive creature gives us a really good use of our decayed zombies, letting us deal damage to our opponents by tapping them. Just every single turn, so love that card. Beloved Beggar is fine in this color pair if you can consistently sacrifice it, so you can actually play the Disturb half of this card. Because just playing a 2-mana 0/4 on the board, sometimes that's kind of hard to get it killed, because it's just going to sit there blocking 3-power creatures all the time. And if you can't get this killed, if you spent 2 mana to play a 0/4 and never disturb it, it's a pretty bad deal. So I think it's probably still Beloved Beggar over one of these other random creatures like Outlaw, Ritual Guardian, or Unruly Mob. Even in the sacrifice stacks, I'm not a huge fan of Unruly Mob. Ritual of Hope is actually a whole Anthem effect, right? It's not just a combat trick. Yeah, give your whole board +2/+1 if you have Coven for really cheap. But Baneblade Scoundrel also seems like a pretty good 4-drop creature, and we don't have a lot of those right now. We don't really have later game creatures. Actually a hard choice between Scoundrel and Ritual of Hope. I think both are good. I think I'm going to go Scoundrel. Again, I just think I have more options in my non-creature slots already, but that would be one of the strongest ones, a 2-mana Anthem effect. Lunarch Veteran versus Chaplain of Alms. Chaplain of Alms is probably better. The Disturb cost, or the Disturb card itself, is just more impactful. A 2/1 flying first striker that gives your board Ward 1. Seems cool to me. It's definitely one of those. I like Disturb cards a lot with Awakeners, especially 1-mana ones. Blood Thief's solid too. Keep getting +1/+1 counters on your board. Morcrypt Behemoth can be a big end game card for these decks, but I like Chaplain of Alms a lot. I'll scoop that up. We could take our third copy of Morning Patrol. We could take a Blessed Defiance, which is kind of a combat trick and a creature. And it's a huge lifelink swing, an additional 2 power and giving a thing lifelink, and then getting a spirit if it dies off. Card just plays really well. I'm tempted to pick it up just to show off how it's actually pretty solid. Kind of like I did with Larder Zombie, where there's these cards that just look really inconsequential, but they actually play pretty well. So I really like to kind of show off those cards, because those are the kind of cards that really sneak up on you in draft that you'll just overlook them every single draft for a long time until you've played with or against them. I want another 3-drop or another 2-drop. I don't know if I'm playing Beggar. Shade Traveler is fine, Candlegrove Witch is fine. I think I'm going to take Candlegrove Witch. Getting like a really aggressive looking black-white deck. Love Borrowed Time as removal here. Another Chaplain of Alms would be pretty sweet as well. So these are the two competing, but I'll go for a Borrowed Time. Great removal spell. Wow, excellent pick 8 for us. I think I'm going to go Gavany Silversmith, but Gavany Silversmith and Search Party Captain are both really good. The Search Party Captain, you can potentially cast it for cheap if you're attacking with a lot of creatures, and it's a 2/2 that draws a card when you play it, so it immediately replaces itself. But Gavany Silversmith really does get the beat down. 4 mana for 2/3, put a +1/+1 counter on 2 creatures on the board. So if you curve out 2-drop, 3-drop, then play Silversmith on 4 and buff those 2 cards you had just played on earlier turns, you're like really beating your opponent down like nobody's business. Super nice. But Search Party Captain's also super nice. We'll take an Unruly Mob now. Maybe it'll make the cut, we'll see. I'm not going to play Sungold Barrage, but I'm probably not going to play Blood Pact either. Don't think we're playing these Rotten Reunions. Ooh, nice late Lunarch Veteran. Cultist is okay too, but I think I like Veteran better. Really cheap cards to sack with the Awakener. We're going to be a really low curve deck. I don't know if we're going for all this kind of slower stuff now. I don't even know if we're doing Ghoulish Procession. Kind of just building our deck in the end of the draft here because it's all off-color cards anyway as we wait. Okay, so 29 cards is what I've cut to during the draft. So we still need to cut 6 more cards. And this looks like a really aggro deck, so high creature count is fine, but 22 is still incredibly high. Are there any non-creature spells that are particularly bad in the deck? Maybe Ghoulish Procession, maybe No Way Out. I could see Ghoulish Procession the most. No Way Out actually seems probably pretty good in here because it also gives us the value of just being like Mind Rods being good in a deck that's aggressive. So we just like dump everything on the board, and once we've got our whole board state ready, we just like, all right, get rid of your big 5 to 6 drop cards in hand. That's the theoretical way we use it. No Way Out is definitely a bit better than your normal Mind Rot because you do get something even if you top deck at late game. You at least get a 2/2 Decayed Zombie, which is not nearly worth 3 mana, but it's so much better than getting absolutely nothing. So I think I will play that. I think I'm going to cut Ghoulish Procession. It's just a pretty inconsistent card. And we have Siege Zombie to use the Decayed Zombies, but any of our other ways to use them, Eaten Alive or Ecstatic Awakener, it's like, okay, by the time we get a zombie off of Ghoulish Procession, we'll already have done those things, generally. So the only way to like consistently use them turn over turn, or turn after turn, is Siege Zombie, or just to get a couple extra damage in maybe. So I don't love Ghoulish Procession even in here. Maybe Bat Whisperer gets out of here. It's 2 cards off of 1. One's a flyer. Might be okay. Blade Scoundrel's okay, but I want to cut a 4-drop here, and I definitely don't want to cut Jisa or Gavany Silversmith. Double Morning Patrol, Ritual Guardian, Gavany Dawnguard. Worst there is Ritual Guardian. For our 2 mana creatures, what are the worst? Yeah, we do have a lot of 2 mana creatures here. I still, again, Unruly Mob is like for similar reasons as Ghoulish Procession, where it's like pretty inconsistent and it just doesn't really do anything when it first hits the board. It's going to take quite some time before the card really matters much. Beloved Beggar's really, really bad if you can't get it into your graveyard, and we don't have any way to self-mill it. We only have a few ways to sacrifice it, so I'm not a super, super huge fan of that. Novice Cultist as well. Pretty bad rate there for the baseline stats. The fun thing to do is to sacrifice it to an Ecstatic Awakener, which we do have 2 Awakeners, so might be a little lower on my list of cuts. And then Strangler and Interloper are the next weakest ones, I would say. I like the Candle Groves. Definitely like the Siege Zombie. Yeah, Interloper, Strangler, and I'm kind of interested in being really, really aggressive here, which is what both of these cards do. So they sit there, they do nothing but attack, and they just keep pressure on your opponent. Especially Strangler, where even if they block it with a big creature later, you just get a removal spell out of it. I think I want to keep those in. So we're cutting 5 cards now. If we cut 5 creatures, then we will have 17 left. Solid count there. I think that's what I do. I think I cut 5 creatures out of here. With the amount of 1 mana creatures we have, we really don't need as many 2-drops as we've got in this deck, so I think I'm just going to straight cut the 3 2-drops first. Because we could just play 1 mana cards turn 2 as well. We could play 2 1 mana cards on turn 2 as well. And then I think I cut the Ritual Guardian, the most filler 3-drop, and then I have to decide if a Bat Whisperer or Baneblade Scoundrel is worse. They're so comparable, they're so similar. Baneblade Scoundrel is just like slightly higher toughness, and then the benefit is that it's like pretty hard to block it well with that -1/-1 thing, so it's a really nice standalone threat. But then the Bat Whisperer has the advantage of like, now you're spreading out your threats, you're getting a wider board, and specifically getting an evasive card, getting a 1/1 flyer. I might even flip a coin. And so I think what we want out of our 4-drops is to just apply as much pressure as possible, and going wide does that a little easier than putting 1 big threat on the board. You know, because I drop Baneblade Scoundrel and then they, you know, toss a removal spell at it or whatever. Haven't put too much more pressure on them, but if I do that with Bat Whisperer, I still have more threats on the board. I got a bat out of it. I don't know, I'm going to lean towards Bat Whisperer here, but I think Baneblade would be good too. Maybe we could just play both, play 16 lands. Oh yeah, our average is 2.3. I am a fool. We're just playing both of them. And 16 lands. We have an exactly even split, so 8 plains, 8 swamps. Call it a deck. Alright, so here's a look at the final deck we'll be playing for the second Premier Draft of the Return to Innistrad Midnight Hunt Premier Drafts. Looks like a pretty sweet Orzhov, just really aggressive deck. We have a really low curve of creatures, and we have some that will beat really, really hard for their costs. At the 2-mana slot, we have a couple Candlegrove Witches and a Vampire Interloper that can keep getting in there evasively, just in the sky. If our board is wide and they're cluttering it up with good blockers, we can just sit there and tap our creatures to make our opponent still lose some life with Siege Zombie. Down at the 1-mana slot, we have a couple Ecstatic Awakeners, which are really, really powerful. Being able to flip these into 4/4s pretty quickly and draw a card when we do that by sacrificing a Disturb card, of which we have quite a few. We have 2 1-mana Lunarch Veterans we can sacrifice to the Awakener, and then Disturb back as flyers from the grave, as well as 1 Chaplain of Alms. That's another Disturb card for only 1 mana. Then at the 3-mana slot, 2 more Disturb cards, a couple Morning Patrols. So a lot of decent cards to be sacrificing to the Ecstatic Awakeners to just flip them really quickly and get that extra damage. And another really nice synergy with the Awakener is sacrificing the Strangler to toss a Strangling Grasp onto an opposing creature. So a lot of great Ecstatic Awakener plays. It's kind of the main card of the deck. We also have Gavony Trapper tapping down opposing threats to keep us alive, or tapping down their good blockers to chip in. And we've got even a bomb in the deck. I was going to say a bomb or 2. Not really, we have 1 main bomb. That is Jisa, Glorious Resurrector, making it so whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, exile it, and then at our next upkeep, put it onto our board with Decayed. So that'll mean it can't block, and we have to sacrifice it when it attacks, but that's still a really, really good deal, Jisa being our best 4-drop. But we also have ones that'll just help keep the pressure on and really try to end the game. Cards like Gavony Silversmith to make our board bigger, Bat Whisperer to make our board wider, and Baneblade Scoundrel just being a big standalone threat at the 4-drop slot. So nice aggressive black-white deck here. Our non-creature cards are basically just a stack of good removal and the pretty solid combat trick of Blessed Defiance that spits out a spirit token if we trade a creature off, and then 1 No Way Out. So yeah, that's the deck. Very excited to just get really aggro today as we head into round 1. Alright, here we are on the play in the first game. Unfortunately, a mono black hand with all white cards. That's going to be a mulligan for me. This mana looks much better, and I forgot to turn the card style off for Chaplain of Alms. As you can see, that person on the left is growing another person out of their back. That's why I hate those card styles. And because I forgot to turn the card style off, I just can't stop looking at them. Okay. Alright, turn 2, we'll probably drop Lunarch Veteran, rather than just hold up a Midnight Ambush. This is not the greatest hand to mull into, because we don't really have big threats. Never mind. That's a big enough threat here. Gavany Dawnguard. That can really solve our problem by drawing a ton of cards. Dawnguard's going to be great in this deck, because whenever we flip from day to night or night to day, we're drawing a creature with mana value 3 or less from the top 4 cards of our library, which is a lot of our deck. A lot of our deck will fit into that. Alright, No Way Out does not seem particularly powerful right now. And we definitely don't want to eat alive an Eccentric Farmer, so I'm just going to attack for 3 and flip to night so we can draw a card and have Olivia's Midnight Ambush be able to do -13, I should say. So draw our card off Gavany Dawnguard. Waiting on our opponent here, they might have a response. Looks like they don't. We'll draw an Ecstatic Awakener, not bad at all. That can sack our veteran to just have a 4/4 out. Opponent is going to cast Dawnheart Rejuvenator. So I could kill that right now with Olivia's Midnight Ambush just to have all my mana up next turn, but I kind of want to flip today and utilize our Gavany Dawnguard to its fullest extent. So I'm just going to pass to our turn so we can go Ecstatic Awakener Olivia's Midnight Ambush as our play. Oh wait, I would need another black source, so I should have just played it, because I would have needed another black source to do that anyway. Luckily, I'm the luckiest player in the world, and I still get to just do that. Never didn't have it. We just fumbled our way out of that punt. Because yeah, that could have went poorly for us if we didn't hit the land, because then I would just untap and be like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna -13 it during my turn and not play an Ecstatic Awakener. So they're gonna shoot the Dawnguard, but it has already drawn us 2 cards, so still pretty good value, basically a 3-for-1 there. I think we want a Candlegrove Witch to be attacking in the sky here. But Vengeful Strangler's interesting. We've got an Eaten Alive. Yeah, I'll take a Candlegrove Witch. Hopefully I don't need to pop a Strangler as removal or anything. How was all their mana tapped? Oh, it was daytime, so they had to spend 3 for it and had to spend 1 for Ward. So that went pretty well for us. We're definitely flipping Awakener. Sack Veteran. And then just play Candlegrove Witch, I guess. Draw a card, see what we hit. Bat Whisperer. Not a bad one. Yeah, I think we're playing Candlegrove Witch over the Veteran. It's just going to hit harder, and it'll hit in the sky as well. So might as well get more damage out there right now. Not super worried about them exiling cards from our graveyard in their color trio. Not a lot of red, green, or blue in the set that's going to exile out of our graveyard. Eccentric Farmer, number 2. I like their deck. I like the Eccentric Farmer, like 3-color value piles. But hopefully just our aggro deck can just pressure them out of it. Anyway. Go for a post-combat Bat Whisperer here. Don't really need to Veteran pre-combat, but I could. Just so if they want to kill Awoken Demon, we can gain 1 extra life. Might not even be attacking with Awoken Demon here. Trade it into a 2/3. Yeah, we're just hitting the sky. Alright, so since we've hit, we're definitely playing Bat Whisperer. getting more power into the sky. Unless they have a counterspell here. I cannot recall for the life of me what the counterspells are in this format. Oh, flip the switch, that's the one that you would see quite often. Okay, so clear shot is their play. They're just going to kill our bigger flyer. Yeah, flip the switch is a blue and 2 for an instant counter target spell unless its controller pays 4, and you get a decayed zombie token. Okay, we're just still chipping it in the sky. Bat Whisper trading into 1 farmer is fine. Get aggro with our Eaten Alive, but I'm worried our opponent has a ton of mana and they just drop some big bomb on us. So I want to play this Eaten Alive really, really conservatively. Ooh, Might of the Old Ways. Yeah, that'll do it. And Revenge of the Drowned, our bat. I'm going to put that bat on top of my library. Token, so just gone forever either way. Do gain our random Luminous Phantom life. I probably should have sent in Chaplain. I definitely should have sent in Chaplain. This No Way Out is looking incredible now, though. But yeah, since Chaplain just comes out as a flyer later. Oh, wow, it was just 2 hands in land. 2 lands in hand. My brain is dead. Seize the Storm was a really great draw for our opponent. It's going to be 2 big old creatures. First is a 5/5 on the board. If we exile that, attack with everybody else here. Do we sack the Decayed Zombie to do it or sack Trapper? Sack Decayed Zombie, or we don't have to sack anything. We have the extra mana. Yeah, we just spend full mana on that and then attack all. And then drop a Trapper and tap down one of their blockers next turn, and that should be able to go wide for lethal, hopefully. It should be. They'll have 1 blocker because we'll tap 1 down, so they block there. They take 2, I guess, so they're still at 1 life next turn. There's an Organ Hoarder from our opponent. Very good 3-color value pile. A couple Eccentric Farmers and an Organ Hoarder. But they are going to scoop them up. It is not going to be enough to defeat the aggro start. I'm surprised our No Way Out just hit 2 lands from them. They were flooded pretty bad. Here we are in game 2 now. Definitely a keepable hand. Turn 1 Trapper, turn 2 Interloper, potentially turn 4 Jisa. Turn 1 Jack-o'-lantern from our opponent. They're mana fixing, and they can exile one of our disturbed cards. That's annoying. They draw a card when they exile it as well. Turn 2 Blade Stitch Scab. That can be horrifying if they got the zombie support to go with it. Incredibly powerful card in that archetype. They're blue, black, and white. No turn 3 play. Could be a flip the switch here. We don't really have anything that draws a counter from them, though. Maybe it is instant speed removal like Olivia's Midnight Ambush on Interloper. Nope. Alright, flip the switch, counter our Awakener. Is that the play? The good thing for us here is Awakener is so cheap that we get to hold up Gavany Trapper after casting it. Alright, it was Defenestrate as instant speed removal. We cannot stop that. Go to combat, tap down the Scab to take 0. I could wait till the end of their turn if I'm scared of them playing a flyer, but I'm not that scared. Yeah, they just play a larger zombie on the ground. Flip the switch counters unless we pay 4 additional mana. Unless they completely tap out for something sometime soon, we can't really play around flip the switch, so we just go for it. We're never going to have 8 mana. You got it. Looks like their hand is pretty much just all lands, so yeah, we were never just We were never getting around that counter. Well, maybe they tap out for Gale Drifter. Who knows? But now they're out of cards. That was the only possible thing they would want to tap out for. Eaten Alive exiles, so we can get rid of Gale Drifter, and it will not ever come back from grave. So we'll do that. And then it's a bit of a top deck war, because if I start holding my mana up, I can tap down their Scab every turn. So I can just keep hitting them for 2 every turn. I'm actually in the leading position when I start holding up mana, because I hit them for 2 every turn, they hit me for 0. But they do get to draw better because they have the larger zombies, so they can tap their whole board in response to me trying to trap down Blade Stitch Scab to surveil the top card of their library, and they immediately top decked Scab Wrangler, although they did surveil to get there, did Mill and Island. But yeah, now we just lose. They just tap our creature every turn. Guess we can tap theirs every turn too. This isn't ideal though. I guess we're basically tied on board. Their board state, if they draw into something, that card is more likely to be impactful with all these other pieces they can use on their board state. But they're only attacking in for 2 every turn. Or they're not attacking it at all every turn, and I'm not attacking it at all every turn, so nobody's like actively winning right now. That is interesting. That is a snap block. I just really want to exile my Lunarch Veteran from grave with Jack-o'-lantern. You got it. Scab Wrangler, I think, is way more than valuable enough to take that trade, in my opinion. They draw into Hobbling Zombie. We draw into land. So now we are losing again, because we are taking hits and they're surveilling every turn. Larger zombies are really going to take this one from us. Being able to set up their draws. I almost conceded there, because that's game. But I will play it out, because it'll actually take like 2 turns to die. But that was a good draw. That was a monstrously good draw. Interloper can't block, so we send it in, then we drop Morning Patrol. We tap down the Blade Stitched Scab again, because that has 4 toughness. Morning Patrol can actually trade into the Hobbling Zombie, but it can't trade into Blade Stitched Scab. Alright, I'll take the trade here. They do get a Decayed Zombie token, which means pretty soon they can just go wide with all of their Decayed Zombies if Blade Stitched Scab is still around. At least we do get our Disturb card this time. Can't tap a creature down if I pay for that. Oh, that's bad. That is not good. They get to tap down. Yeah, we're dead. They tap down a creature now. Then we only have a 0/2 to block with. We block there and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It is exactsies. But they kill us either way. We wouldn't have another blocker if I didn't pay the 4. They still deal exactsies. Rough one there. blue-black Decade showing off its power in the format. Being able to set up every draw with their larger zombie, and then tap down like crazy with Scab Wrangler. 1-1 it'll be. Alright, opponent's on the play this time. Got a really nice curve over here though. Drop our veteran first. Just get chipping in as quickly as possible. Novice Occultist, never mind. That is never going to hit them. Interloper sure will though. And we'll gain life every time we play a card, so if they're trying to get aggressive back at us, we'll get quite a few life in the meantime. Ooh. Alright. I'm very, very happy to take this 1 damage. Hobbling Zombie. Now we have a Siege Zombie. So we can go Gavity Trapper Siege Zombie this turn. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff again. Maybe we should be playing 15 lands in this deck. Because 5 lands is a lot to draw for us in your average game. I already feel like I have too many lands, and we're probably drawing more soon, just statistically speaking. Mono black so far from our opponent, they may be stuck off of a color. Yeah, that was definitely a thing last game as well. We just ran out of plays. So we just hit more lands. Oh, hello. She's betrayed us. Jisa, Glorious Resurrector on the opponent's board. Absolute betrayal. Well, that's going to be really bad if they have removal spells here, because then they're just going to start assembling our own board state against us. If they don't have removal spells, though, I mean, they can attack us with absolutely everything. We'll just not block at all. We can just keep cracking back. Because Lunarch Veteran is just putting in all this life gain work, and Siege Zombie's going to do the life loss work. I don't think we lose this race if they don't have removal. But yeah, removal's going to start putting things vastly in their favor. Because Jisa will start picking up our creatures and slapping us in the face with them. Alright, Blood Pact it is. Draw 2, lose 2 life. Digging for that second color maybe, digging for removal, anything like that. They could be mono black. Black is a very deep and very powerful color in this format. So if it's wide open in your draft pod, you won't be lacking any specific kind of card, being a mono black deck. Alright. Now we can use Gavany Trapper on the Hobbling Zombie to attack with Bat Whisperer and our flyers. That seems worth it to me. So the only way they can kill the Bat Whisperer is trading Jisa off into it. So this way we're not giving them any Decayed cards to play around with. Only offering a trade on the board, and it's not a trade they would like to do, but it is one they're forced to take. Jisa is off the board, and here comes Morning Patrol. Maybe a Crawl from the Cellar, buff up the zombie and recast Jisa. Still feel like we're in a pretty good position if that's the play, because we still have flyers while they don't, and Siege Zombies sitting here just chipping in for that 1 extra damage each turn. Yep, Crawl from the Cellar Jisa. +1/+1 counter on the Hobbling Zombie, pick up Jisa from grave, and they can flashback for 4. Yeah, well, we're really only hitting in the sky now. So I don't even think we use Gavany Trapper. I think we just hit in the sky. And we're not trying to chump attack with any of our Disturb cards because we don't get Disturb as long as they have G-Saw on the board. They just exile the cards. So they won't be in our graveyard, they will be exiled and then on our opponent's board. Alright, they're going to scoop them up. Maybe they were stuck off of a second color the whole time? We have no way to know for sure, but like statistically speaking, most limited decks are 2-color. Yeah, other than that, just definitely lacking on removal. Even if they were stuck on mono black, I'm pretty sure they would have some amount of black removal in their hand, so just some rough draws for our opponent will take us to 2 wins and 1 loss. Round 4 with the Orzhov aggro. We'll just keep it and get slamming in. We are on the draw though, so we're going to have to wait a couple turns to slam in. Candlegrove Witch, turn 2 from our opponent. Well, we have that Dream 2-3-4 curve with the Silversmith. Drop a 2-drop creature, drop a 3-drop creature. Put a counter on both with Silversmith. Attack really hard on turn 4. That is likely our plan. I would not like to trade with that. Our opponent does have a Silverbolt on the board they can use to blow up pretty much any of our creatures for 3 mana. Because all of our creatures are pretty small in this deck. Fourth mana now from the green-white deck. Two 2/2s coming in hot, slamming us for 4. If they want to use a combat trick to kill a Disturb card, that's not that bad for us. Feels like a weird attack here, because I don't generally like to use a combat trick on a card with Disturb, but it does punish us a lot for trying to get our turn 4 Silversmith, which is sad. We can just play turn 4 Scoundrel, though, if they do want to spend a trick to kill Morning Patrol. Oh, they're just going to have to bolt the Patrol. I think that worked really well for us. I think that made us forced our opponent to be much less mana efficient than they wanted. I guess I could still Silversmith and just put a counter on itself, but I think I'd rather wait till I have some flyers to dump counters onto. We'll just play that Scoundrel here. We're just chipping in. We'll still have combat tricks. Hit for 4, we're down to 12. We hit them for 6. We don't have any removal in our hand to kill any creature they play, but Scoundrel's big enough to attack into pretty much anything. Alright. Just gonna get the extra damage here. Put us down to 9 with their combat trick. Definitely pretty glad I didn't block. We need to be worried about life total. Ooh. Let's see what it is. They have to use that combat trick. They had to use that combat trick to fight the Scoundrel. So they were like, well, let's get extra damage out of it first if we're going to have to buff it up big enough to use our removal spell anyway. Now I am at a low enough life total. I'm going to play a little slow here and just set up some chunky blockers. I guess one chunky blocker. I'll still send Siege Zombie in. Hopefully no removal for the big Silversmith. I would definitely rather do that than just play my 2-1 Flying Vigilance, because that just does not block well here. And I would like to be blocking at 9 life. I guess we could have put a counter on Gavany Trapper and attacked them for 2 with Siege Zombie, and then had a 1-3 blocker and a 3-4 blocker. We can double block and kill whatever we attack with, unless I tap one down with Trapper. Is that worth it? I don't think so, not right now, because we can still get 1 damage to Siege Zombie. Let's just play our flyers. Start chipping in next turn. Okay. Good for 1 here. Monarch Veteran, not bad at all. We're gonna hit really hard if they don't have instant speed interaction now. Boop! We still have 2 blockers up, so I feel this is a relatively safe attack. Even going that hard at them here. Send them in, we'll play it safe here. Got pretty overwhelming board state. Alright, and they'll scoop them up. They did have the Anthem effect, but it would not have been enough to kill us. Unless they had another trick in there. But I'm going to assume they would have showed us that as well if they're going to show us that ritual. So I think that is 3 and 1. We'll average win rate run here no matter what, but we're also 1 win away from Mythic, so hopefully, at the very least, we can win this next round. Our opponent is on the play here, but I have a feeling we'll be the most aggressive gamer at this table. With 4 1-drops in hand. We're going to play a Plains in one of our white cards turn 1, so that turn 2 I could play a 1-drop of 2 different colors. Larder Zombie is quite the wall against this deck at the start. So I think maybe I go Gavany Trapper, so that I'm ready to start tapping things down, but then I think I want to try to get this Vengeful Strangler onto their Larder Zombies. So I think I'm actually playing this over Awakener. Maybe I play Interloper though. That works too. We'll just start hitting for 2 every turn, guaranteed. I think I'll go Strangler though. Should get this zombie out of here. Three mana up from our opponent. They did nothing, so they could have a flip the switch or something here. Get in there, Strangler. Let's 1-for-1 trade into this Larder Zombie. Do you wish to counter my 1-mana Disturb card? No. What about my Ecstatic Awakener? No. Okay. Nebelgast Intruder is the play. The 2-1 flyer with flash. It's just a 2-1 flyer now. It's not going to do anything else. When does this trigger? Beginning of my upkeep. Oh, okay, that's weird. Thought it was their upkeep. That is extra strange. Bless Defiance, their Larder Zombie in response, so they get a 1-1 flyer here. Okay. They don't get any lifelink though, so probably the lowest amount of impact they would have gotten off of Blessed Defiance, so I'm cool with it. Does give them a blocker this turn though, which is important, especially since we didn't hit a land. If we had a land here, easy, just flip Awakener, sack Veteran, get jamming. Without the land, I don't think I'd tap their flyer. I think I just play Interloper and pass. Another Nebelgast Intruder. Land, 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 land. Come on. Oh, I meant I want to land, not them. But them getting to land is fine too. It's gonna be a bad game for No Way Out because we just didn't really get 3 mana until they already played everything in hand anyway. I don't think No Way Out's even likely to hit anything good. I kind of think I just sack Veteran here, draw a card, and hit them. Maybe it's No Way Out though. Probably not. Yeah. They're down to 13, we're at 15. We've got our 4th land now, which is beautiful. Sludge Monster. Oh, that's super fine. Wow, now our Trapper just trades into their 2/2. That was kind of awkward for our opponent. When it enters the battlefield, it turns something... When it enters the battlefield or attacks, it turns something into a 2/2 with no abilities. It made our 0/2 a 2/2. Alright, well... Now what? They're at 13. Sludge Monster's a problem that Olivia's Midnight Ambush cannot solve. Play 1 card here, play a Silversmith, and get ready to block their Sludge Monster. Just trump block with that. Just have to crack back as well as we can. Feel pretty good right now if this were an Eaten Alive. But with Midnight Ambush, might just be dying. Try to outrace them here though. Maybe they'll trade with Sludge Monster. Yeah. Trade with Sludge Monster, they hit us for 5 in the sky here, so they'll kill us in 2 turns of flying. Little do they know. Lunarch Veteran. Not a counterspell? It's not a counterspell. Now we No Way Out that card and gain a life when we get this Decayed Zombie. Okay, just a land. So they need to top deck a trick to kill us. They didn't top deck a trick, so they're just hitting a little bit so they have enough to block with to survive. We are definitely getting a flyer from Lunarch Veteran, and then we're going to hold up Olivia's Midnight Ambush. I'm going to do that pre-combat so I gain the life, guaranteed. And I'm just attacking with everybody. Because our only blockers that matter are flying blockers, and Interloper can't block anyway. Ooh. Now I could just play another Luminous Phantom and hold on to Olivia's Midnight Ambush even longer here. We're at more than enough life that this is a safe play. Alright, there we go. That's going to be the 4th or 5th win for this deck, and it's going to grind us up into Mythic in a game that was looking pretty hairy there for a second. Really nice stuff from the Lunarch Veterans. We're now Mythic number 354. Cool stuff. 4-1 it is as we head into round 6. Continuing on with the Orzhov aggro deck, our opponent's on the play here. We've got some good 2-drops to beat down with, and we drew a 1-drop. Perfect. Now we just drop that Lunarch Veteran and we curve out 1 mana play, 2 mana play, 3 mana play with a Blessed Defiance as well. I'm gonna go ahead and play, well, I'll hold up Blessed Defiance during combat in case something really weird happens. But I think I'll actually go Interloper because I would rather have Vampire Interloper die than Candlegrove Witch. And currently, Candlegrove Witch isn't even going to get flying because we won't have Coven. We'll have 1 power creatures and 2 power creatures only. So we'll just play the best attacker while our opponent has an empty board state. We don't really need the ability to block right now. Alright, Shady Traveler on the ground with Menace. Slam the squad in. And Blessed Defiance is disgusting. Defeat a Shady Traveler and get a 1/1 flyer with that 1 mana, and I could even recast the Lunarch Veteran, but I'd rather play Candlegrove Witch first to just hit my opponent as hard as possible, rather than maximize my life gain or anything. So there was a really good Blessed Defiance play there to show off how powerful that card can be, where for only 1 mana, we ended up turning that combat into a trade, gaining a couple life on it, and still putting a threat on the board with that 1 mana, which is really important during the early turns of the game as you're just trying to set up as many threats as possible. So, very nice work from the Blessed Defiance. Alright, they're down to 14. Get our Lunarch Veteran and our Candlegrove Witch here. It's putting 3 power on the board instead of just 2. And it's more mana efficient than Morning Patrol. It's using all 4 mana. Another removal spell. Bloodline Culling. I don't think that worked how they wanted it to. Well, I mean, I guess if they just wanted to kill one of our flyers, they could have done that on either of them. Yeah, I guess maybe they thought Phantom was a token. Either way, they were only going to kill 1 card off of it regardless, so not a big deal or anything. Oh, Gavany Silversmith is the perfect draw because now we have a 1 power creature, Gavany Silversmith as a 2 power creature, and the Candlegrove Witches as 3 power creatures, meaning we've triggered Coven, and we're attacking for 7 in the sky this turn, which kills them in only 2 attacks. What a top deck. Gavany Silversmith is exactly what the doctor ordered. There's Shady Traveler, 2 mana up, 3 mana up, they play land for turn. There's only 1 card in their hand though. If it can't kill the witches, that's gonna be game. Or I guess if it could kill the Phantom, they could survive another turn. Go to combat. They're gonna get clever here and shoot the Silversmith. Sure. Guess we could have pre-combated Morning Patrol if we wanted to make sure we still had Coven. I would really rather play Gavany Dawn Guard. I know we could just play Morning Patrol next turn to get Coven out of nowhere. So if it's like sorcery speed removal here, they just shoot our flyer and then we still just... I guess if they shoot our flyer, we can't get Coven because we only have 1 power. Ooh, Vengeful Strangler. Would you look at that? A 2 power creature. And a Lunarch Veteran as well for another 1 power creature. I think I just play Strangler. And then I pass. Even if they blow up Strangler, we get to kill one of their creatures with it, and they're just going to scoop them up. They don't have anything to kill another creature here. And that will be 5-1 now for the Orzhov aggro deck. Alright, opponent on the play again here. This is going to be round 7. Turn 1 Chaplain of Alms or Lunarch Veteran. Play the Veteran here. It's cheaper to recast from the grave if it dies to some random nonsense. And neither are going to attack in against a 2-mana 2/2 anyway. And this way we gain 1 extra point of life that we would not have otherwise. So Flame Channeler is a pretty cool card. If they use a burn spell of any kind, it could do damage to our face or damage to one of our creatures. They will flip that into a 3/3. Can maybe play some cards out of their library. Thermo Alchemist, that's a pretty annoying blocker. Is it annoying enough to defenestrate that? Or do we just hold on to that for something else later? I think I would rather just kill Flame Channeler with defenestrate. We could just go wide around the Alchemist. We can also just hold on to this to kill something else later and play Candlegrove Witch this turn, or No Way Out. I'm cool with Candlegrove Witch. Hold on to this defenestrate. Hit for 1. So if they declare an attack here with all their mana untapped, there's no way we block, because they're setting up for a potential blowout if they have a 1 mana burn spell. But they did not declare any attacks. Now we have a Jisa Glorious Resurrector. Yeah, worst case scenario, pull a removal spell out of their hand and we get to attack with Candlegrove Witch this turn. So we will have Coven. Pretty good draw. Really big threat here. So the Heirloom Mirror, they get to pay life, discard a card, and draw a card, and put a ritual counter on the mirror. Once they've done it 3 times, they get a big old flyer, but it will be tapped. So it kind of takes 4 turns to get it, because it's tapped the first turn they flip it. And Defenestrate can't kill flyers, so definitely want to try to beat them before that mirror flips. Alright, they have a Defenestrate of their own to get rid of Jisa. Fair enough. And let's just make them discard their whole hand. Well, now our plan is Olivia's Midnight Ambush. If we can ever get it to be nighttime, that would be our plan to get rid of that Heirloom Mirror. Yeah, I could be spending a removal spell like Defenestrate so that I can keep attacking it on the ground here, but if I do that, I'm not getting full No Way Out value. Oh wow, and that was good value. We got rid of a Diregraph Horde and a Blood Pact. Now we know they have nothing in hand, so they can't even use Heirloom Mirror that turn. And we know they're not flipping the Channeler on a block against our Candlegrove Witch. Okay, Vengeful Strangler, not a bad draw. We don't have many cards that can flip between day and night. So I think just be mana efficient here and try to outrace the mirror by killing the Channeler and playing the Strangler this turn. And then defenestrating the Thermo Alchemist later. So that we can attack with everything on the board. Counter number 2 on the mirror. 1 turn away from flipping, but again, once it's flipped, it is tapped that first turn. Immolation on Witch, solid draw here. We have the mana to defenestrate this Alchemist and cast a Gavony Trapper, which is our answer to the Demon if the Demon ever flips. So we are all set up now. We are A-okay. Not even worried about the Demon blocking at all. Alright, flip the mirror. Big old tapped Demon. And an Ardent Elementalist, which we can tap down to deal exactly 4 damage to our opponent and end the game this turn. And that is going to be 6-1 now for this deck. Here we are now in what could be the final game if we win here. It will be a 7-1 run. Had to mulligan the first hand due to just one color of lands, and only one card we could play, which we couldn't even because we had to sack a creature to play it. We will keep this next hand, and I think I'm going to get greedy and drop this land. Maybe I'm supposed to drop Silversmith or even Eaten Alive here. Yeah, Gavany Silversmith is so good on 4 after these two that I think I drop Eaten Alive. But unfortunately, we don't have any way to shuffle our deck, so Eaten Alive is just gone now. Opponent starts mono black with a turn 2 Siege Zombie. There's another Ecstatic Awakener for us. Really good once we draw a Disturb card. Alright, if they didn't play a creature this turn, it might have been worth flipping Awakener turn 3 to attack with a 4/4, but now they have 4 power and 5 toughness, so they'll just double block pretty well. So now we'll just play Ecstatic Awakener number 2 and Siege Zombie. And pass the turn. Fourth swamp from our opponents. And see what else they have to go with it. Arrogant Outlaw. That does not do anything. Just a 3/2. Only makes us lose some life if we took damage this turn. Kind of a worse version of Vampire Spawn in that sense. Alright, passing turn. We'll get our 1 damage in with Siege Zombie. And we hit a Lunarch Veteran, which is perfect for these Awakeners. Get to attack with a Witch in the Sky and a 4/4 on the ground if I just play Veteran and flip an Awakener here. Actually, sounds pretty good to me. I mean, I do get to attack in the sky with a Witch if I play Silversmith, but kind of like starting to flip these Awakeners and getting some more cards rolling. I'll trade an Awakener into a 2/3 body. 2/3 Menace body specifically. Although, I actually get more damage in if I don't attack with this Awoken Demon, because I'll hit them for 1 with Siege Zombie, instead of just clearing out a 2/3 blocker. You know, that's fine too. Maybe got a little overly excited about about drawing the Disturb card. I was like, we can do it! We can do the Awakener thing! It was a cool thing to do. Alright, black-white, the mirror match, here it is. The fight is on. Another heirloom mirror. Pretty fine with that. As we've seen last game, it flips pretty slowly. We can keep chipping it in the sky against them. Hopefully have dealt enough damage by the time they get that demon to just finish them off before it matters again. Alright. We have a Silversmith or Lunarch Veteran here. We can't do both. I could Lunarch Veteran and flip the next Awakener. Which is spicy too, but then I won't have Coven anymore. I do enjoy a Silversmith here. I'm gonna go for it. So we're hitting for 3 in the sky. And in order to kill our 5/5, they have to double block now, right? To kill a 5/5, they have to block with these two, and we get to kill both. Yeah, so a 5/5 and a 3/3 flyer here. That is the plan. We attack both here. One of them dies to removal. The other one gets to do something. Probably. Probably what's happening. Maybe Defenestrate the 5/5. Infernal Grasp the 5/5. Fair enough. Does make them lose some life to cast that, so still getting in some amount of damage. And we've ripped a removal spell out of their hand. So hopefully Candlegrove Witch just gets to keep doing its thing. Candlegrove Witch plus Siege Zombie. Try to win this game. Eaten alive. Alright, unfortunate. They had the 2 removal spells here. So we can play a Lunarch Veteran now, and we're chipping for 1 in the sky every turn, but I'm not sure that can outrace this Heirloom Mirror, because they're at 11 life. It's going to take quite some time. Although Siege Zombie speeds it up. Actually, a 6-turn clock here because of Siege Zombie. We have those 2 together. Might even sack Silversmith to flip Awakener here. It's not really affecting the board state that much. I honestly think a 1/1 flyer would affect the board more. Siege Zombie's definitely impactful. I'm actually gonna sack the Silversmith. It's a solid blocker, but if we have a 4/4, then we've got a more solid blocker. Ooh, and we draw into Vampire Interloper, which is really gonna hit hard. No attacks. Siege Zombie versus Siege Zombie Mirror, but we've got the flyers to chip in. Search Party Captain is the draw, pretty good one. Just immediately draws the next card out of their deck. And they have the mana up to use the mirror, discard a land, draw a card here. You do have to pay a life, which is painful at this point, just like last match, but... Ooh, and they milled and eaten alive there. Got a great stack of removal in their deck. Infernal Grasp, double eaten alive. Is what we've seen so far. Not even halfway through the deck. Good stuff from our opponent. Pinging for that damage there. Gavany Trapper off the top is not bad at all. Again, now we'll be safe even if they get that big flying demon. We can tap it down and keep chipping it in the sky. Because they cannot block anymore. Another dig off the Heirloom Mirror here. Discard a land, draw a card, mill a card. Ooh, discard a Disturb card, that's pretty good. And they milled a land, so... kind of evens out for milling a removal spell last turn. Solid mill this time. Alright, and they're going to play that Morning Apparition, so they have a flying blocker that we'll have to tap with the Gavany Trapper. But I think we just find lethal here. I guess if we draw a creature card, we find lethal, because I can't tap that down because Gavany Trapper is currently summoning sick. So I have to tap Gavany Trapper next turn to tap the Apparition, which means we put them to 1 life unless we either draw a removal spell or a creature, and we drew a removal spell, so that'll end the game. Now we get to use that on the Apparition, which means we get to use the Trapper to our Siege Zombie, hitting for exactly 4. And they are going to scoop them up. That is a 7-1 run off of this Innistrad Midnight Hunt Premier Draft. That is going to shoot us up to Mythic rank number 153. Really nice draft. Definitely feels pretty good to be back up in the really high Mythic ranks. Take another look at the deck at the end of this draft, as always. See if we have any over or underperformers we want to talk about. G-Serin didn't really do anything. She just drew removal every time, but even just drawing removal does something. Overall, just a really good deck, really aggro curve. We had that game where we had 2 lands for a really long time and still just managed to pull off the victory. Flooded out a little bit, so maybe a 15-land version is better. But even with some games where we drew a ton of lands, we still find the ways to close the games. Yeah, just pretty good stuff overall. I don't think there was anything that massively under or overperformed. Baneblade Scoundrel didn't really do anything. Bat Whisperer did. The Bat Token was good. Silversmith was great. Morning Patrols were a bit slow for the deck. They didn't do too much for us. Gavany Dawnguard was excellent. Interloper was definitely a double-edged sword, as expected. Did a lot of damage in a lot of games, but being unable to block was painful in one. The Witches were great. Definitely the cheap Disturb cards. Cannot praise the Lunarch Veteran enough. Honestly, I think that played better than Chaplain of Alms. I don't think we ever disturbed the Chaplain of Alms, but we definitely disturbed a lot of Luminous Phantoms. Lunarch Veteran was just so good with the 2 namesake cards of the deck, the Ecstatic Awakeners. So yeah, that was pretty nice. And even the No Way Out, even the Mind Rot effect did some work here. And of course, all the other spells here, just like removal, that definitely put in work. And Blessed Defiance, we got to show off how that card can be real spicy as well. Really nice stuff out of the deck, and a really nice draft one. But that is going to end today's video. As always, if you want to see some more videos like this, you can like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send some more of these videos to you in your recommended feeds. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.